Hey there, Lunacy community. My guest today is Neal Brennan. If you don't know Neal, you don't know shit. All right. He is the co-creator and co-writer of the Chappelle Show. He's done 3 Netflix specials, all of which are amazing, and he has an amazing podcast called Blocks, where he interviews comedians from Jerry Seinfeld and David Letterman to Trevor Noah. He even talks to Ken Burns. Neal is somebody who is hilarious, and also he's just got a huge heart. He's a really good man. He's been a really good friend to me, and vice versa. And I really appreciate him as a human being. You'd think somebody of his stature of fame, might be an arrogant asshole. Turns out not the case. Not with this guy. I'm just super privileged to have him on the show. And, I thought it was going to be a good episode, and I'm really gratified that it's great. He really brings some wisdom in a way that's incredibly palpable, particularly around being objective around his own trauma and issues and past. He offers some really amazing perspective on the insanity that it is to do stand-up comedy, on his crazy career in Hollywood, and on drinking ayahuasca. It's one for the books, and it marks a huge achievement for me in this podcast, and I'm really proud to present to you my good friend, Neal Brennan. I am Jeff Ado. This is Lunacy, where we discern the sacred from the insane and admit that whether we like it or not, we are all profoundly affected by the cycles of the moon. No how.
Didn't feel the need. Never how. Didn't want to. Jeff, I like to practice. I like to know how it's going to sound before I do things. And I also have very little relationship with the moon.
What about wolves?
Not a big relationship with wolves. I have a somewhat funny story about wolves. I directed a movie one time, and we shot a scene with a wolf. So there's a lot of prep about wolves, and like the wolf there's no food, don't bring any. If I think there really was like, if you're menstruating, you cannot be on set, etc.
Wow. Okay.
And I think I may have made that up,
I mean, it sounds
but
right. Sounds
yeah. And
possible.
then so one of the main producer on the movie, who never like didn't have what. Anyway, we all turn around, and he's literally walking to set with a bag of generic beef jerky. I'd never seen him eat beef jerky in the past. He'd never mentioned liking it, and it was literally like cartoon thing not to do, carrying a clear bag that said like beef jerky on it in black writing. It was very funny to me.
And did
So
he
that's my
did he
wolf
get
story.
attacked?
He
Was
didn't
he
know.
eaten by the
We were
wolf?
just like, get out of here, Kevin, turn around.
Nice.
So yeah.
All right. So Lunacy is a Luminary podcast. My luminary guest today is the one and only Neal Brennan. Neal is a Emmy Award-winning director, writer, and comedian. He's won a WGA award. He is a amazing comedian. He's done 3 Netflix specials. Am I missing anything here? You're rolling
No,
your
I'm
eyes.
not. I never won. I didn't win an Emmy for directing.
Well, Wikipedia is lying about you then. He should have won an Emmy. I think we can all agree.
I mean, I was nominated, but I think I kind of won for writing for Saturday Night Live, but not exactly.
That's what you won for.
That's okay.
That's on the books.
All right, great. I guess I'll take it. And it wasn't until 2016, but whatever Wikipedia wants to believe.
Okay.
Let the kids have fun.
That's fair. Any case, he's a legend. And also, aside from that, he's a really good friend. Thanks for being a lunatic, man. You know what I mean?
You got it.
First of all, I'd love to talk about, just kind of like your journey a little bit. Like, take us kind of in through being a stand-up comedian and, meeting Dave Chappelle. And
I grew up around stand-up comedy. My brother is a comedian named Kevin Brennan. And in the late 80s, he was living in New York. And I used to go up when I was in high school and visit him. And he was like very generous. And he worked the door at a club called the Improv in New York. And so I got to see what a comedy club was like. I'd stay there for 8 hours while he was working. And then I got into NYU Film School in 1991, moved to New York, and then started working at a different club. I started working the door at a club like at night. And the average show, not even really kidding, was like Chappelle had just moved. He was my age. We were both 18. He'd moved to New York. Louis C.K., Ray Romano, Jon Stewart, like an average Tuesday, Sarah Silverman, and at Dave Attell, my brother. I mean, it was like, and I was just like, these people seem very good at comedy. None of them were successful,
Hmm.
but it just seemed like this is. I liked it better than film school. So after I dropped out of film school after a year,
Wow.
and
Film school
started
dropout. Nice.
film school drop NYU. That's a prestigious, relatively prestigious list of NYU dropouts. I don't know what Wikipedia has to say. Don't trust it. But and then I didn't do stand up really at all. I started writing I would give people like jokes in for their act, like, hey, maybe say this or say that. And then people started getting little nibbles from real showbiz, so I started helping them with that. I moved to LA, got a couple writing jobs for like game shows for uh, uh, Singled Out on MTV. You're
Okay.
welcome.
Nice.
And
Thank you.
they shared an office with All That from Nickelodeon, which is they had just done the pilot, so I worked on that. I ended up working on the second season of that, and then so that was like 94, 95. Another show after that, and then in 97, um Chappelle, who I was still friends with, was like, hey, we should write a weed movie. We ended up writing this movie Half Baked that got made. We were both
Amazing.
23. Yeah, we were both 23 at the time.
Wow.
Looking back, it seems impossible, but at the time, you're like, no, this is what happens. I write one movie, they make it. No more, no further questions. But that's not how it ends up. But that movie comes out, doesn't do well, does well on video, but that doesn't really count. Then in 01, '02, me and Dave end up doing a pilot for Comedy Central, Chappelle Show. That becomes a big, stinking hit, and then implodes very dramatically in 2005 with Dave leaving, going to Africa. That's probably on Wikipedia and true. And and then and then I kind of had to figure out what to do.
Mhm.
Didn't I always wanted to be a comedian, but I was like 30 at that point, didn't really know, you know, I was like, I just feel like everybody would bring Chappelle up and whatever. So then anyway, long story short, I ended up starting stand up in '07 and directed a movie, the Wolf movie
Mhm.
that bombed called The Goods, Jeremy Piven, came out in '09. But
Okay.
in '07, '08, '09, I started doing stand up like, very assiduously
Mhm.
in a very focused way, and got my first Comedy Central hour in 2013, and then did three mics in 2016 in New York, and then it came out in 2017 on
Yeah.
Netflix, and then I've done two more since.
So 2005, Chappelle
Hmm.
Show implodes. You
Hmm.
guys are like, you know, crushing it. What
Hmm.
what exactly how like what was that like for you? You
It was
guys
awful.
okay. And
Yeah,
like
it was
what
awful.
happened? There was I remember there was a discrepancy about what he was getting paid and like that and he just
Nah, it wasn't. It really wasn't. I mean, we got decent deals. That was destructive for us in terms of like inclusion and information and fighting for whatever. So so that ended up being tense between us. That was in '04, and then so we tried to make it work until '05, and then it imploded. It would have imploded whether I was there or not, but it was very painful, and the relationship had sort of destructed in '04, and then in '05 it like the show destructed.
hmm.
But just the same basic like showbiz money, all that stuff.
And so for you, so Dave left because he just couldn't take it anymore. He was like, "This is
He just didn't want to do it, I guess.
uh-huh." And then were you must have been crushed for a
Yeah, I
while.
was
Did you
crushed for. I was crushed for, I don't know. I mean, a long time. It still affected me. I mean, it doesn't affect me today, but it was always a bit of a wound until, I'm not even kidding, a year or two ago.
Wow.
And to the point where now it just doesn't, it, there's a lot of talk of like, I identify with that or I don't identify with that. And I no longer really identify with it, if that makes sense. Like that, I know I did it, and I know I have memories of it, and I am proud of like a lot. I'm proud of the show, and I'm very uh incredibly grateful for the experience, but I can't say that like it's not a thing I really own very much in a positive way,
Hmm.
you know.
Like it doesn't define you at this
Not, I
moment.
mean, again, like even the idea of like I'm not defined. It's a great lot of it's incredibly good, and it wildly popular. So I don't want to say I'm not disavowing it in any way. It's just you get older. There's only so much hard drive space where you're like, I guess I'm gonna like, I didn't empty the cache, but it's like it's almost like in filing cabinets now, or like there's a difference between like uh ROM and RAM or something, and it's like one's you can access quickly, and that's in like the other one where I like, oh, let me think about that.
Hmm.
Somebody quoted a thing from Half Baked to me yesterday, and I was like, I had to pretend I remembered, and not in like it's just 28 years ago. So I'm like, is that and it's also a thing of like, is that the line we ended up using?
Wow.
Because I remember
All the
all the
other lines.
possibilities, and you just go, oh yeah, that's pretty funny, and
Yeah.
not in like that sound. It could sound arrogant. I don't even mean it like that. It's literally like your friend reminding you of a thing that happened in high school, and you not having the clearest recollection about it.
Hmm. Yeah. What was it that healed it? Like, was it just time, or was there something that occurred a couple years ago where you're like, you know what,
Uh,
I'm just letting that go now.
time is uh I'm making this phrase up. Time heals all wounds. I don't know if anyone's ever said that.
Never heard it.
Time is a huge help, and obviously ayahuasca, DMT, MDMA, and time. That would be
Yeah.
those four
Hmm.
combined
Nice.
to make
Okay.
a super healer.
I mean, that is quite the concoction right there. You know,
Yeah,
you put all
yeah,
those things together in one dose, and you're going
yes,
places.
sir.
Woo-hoo.
Yep,
Yeah. So one of the things about that, that I think about is like you met Barack Obama one time,
yep.
and he said to you, what did he say to you again?
I mean, I met him at the my buddy Seth Meyers hosted the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and so beforehand you get to there's like a little reception. It was all very strange in that, so it's a small reception, maybe 80 people in the room, in like literally in the Capitol Hilton, like not the nicest hotel. And there's like, sort of people I know. John Mulaney wrote for Seth as well. Guy named Alex Bays, who still writes for Seth, is one of the best comedy writers alive, I think, joke writers wise. And then like John Hamm was there, David Remnick, editor of the New Yorker, and then Rupert Murdoch.
Oh
So we're
yeah.
all in line to meet Barack Obama. Now Rupert Murdoch owns Fox, so you're
Hmm.
kind of like, why? What is this?
Yeah.
Like it's not theater exactly. Anyway, Obama made a joke about up and retiring, like Dave. So, but now, but I think yeah, that was kind of, Dave was still sort of in hiding back then. So, um,
But didn't he
but
say
now
something to
he's
you about like that the Chappelle Show is the best show ever written? That was my recollection.
no,
He did not say that.
he did not say that.
I made that up. Hmm.
Yep,
But he
but
did make the
he may believe it.
joke.
Um, yeah, I don't. I mean, again, but maybe you know what, Jeff? Maybe he did. And I don't remember. I'm not even kidding. I
Yeah.
I don't think he did, but at this point, I don't trust myself.
I thought you told me that at one point, but I could be wrong.
Yep.
Um, I am curious about though around the Chappelle Show, and then I want to get into kind of like what you've been doing lately, which I think is awesome.
Hmm.
Is that so much of that was really like prejudice breaking comedy.
I'd say prejudice wounding. I think prejudice is unbreakable, but
Okay.
I would say, I mean, that's one of those things where I want, where people go like comedy breaks down walls and all that stuff, and I could be convinced that it doesn't. I don't really know. You know what I mean? Like I don't. I think late night TV is a great example of that, where it's like Seth, John Stewart, Trevor Noah, Jimmy Kimmel, like all these people being anti-Trump, and he gets elected. So
Hmm.
what John Stewart even said one time, he's like, it didn't help. Fox News got way more powerful at the end of John's run at the first run of the Daily Show than it was at the beginning.
Hmm.
So it's a nice salve on for people. It's a nice, if you agree with the political point of view, I guess it's fun. But I don't know how big an effect. I don't know how big an effect it has. I would, you know what? I'm gonna disagree with myself.
Good.
I would say that somebody like Bill Cosby, Eddie Murphy, Spike Lee, Michael Jordan, those guys I would say made me, I'm pretty sure they made me less racist. Like I'm not very racist toward black people. And I gotta think, I personally believe it has a lot to do with for I literally was never a big Cosby fan, but Eddie, Spike, Michael Jordan, Public Enemy, Tribe Called Quest, people that I grew up listening to, um, I would say had effect on me in terms of like expanding my view of black people.
Did you grow up kind of racist or in a racist environment?
No, not really. I was like Catholic. My parents, it just wasn't a thing. I don't know. And my brother worked at the Chicago Stadium and Wrigley Field in Chicago, and he was an usher, and so a
Hmm.
lot of his fellow ushers were black, and they were always nice to me. And it just never. And again, I don't say this like it's just like I just didn't. It didn't. I'm
It wasn't a
way more
thing.
sexist than I am racist. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like not. And I don't mean that. I'm not even especially sexist, but in terms of like, if I'm honest about my prejudices, you know,
Yeah.
um, so, yeah, so I didn't grow up I grew up in in a white neighborhood, but my parents were part of the program where they sort of, I can't say they adopted, like eighth grade black young man. So he would come once a week and hang out.
Hmm.
Maybe that helped. I don't know.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So again, it wasn't even,
Wasn't a
it
thing.
was just, I don't know. And that's why I say like, I'm not, I'm just like, I'll say I'm not that racist because I just believe it's certain things. Bigotry is like an inherent human trait. So you just try to keep it in check.
Yeah.
Any kind of bigotry. It's like, oh yeah, it's like simple, reflexive, different, in group, out group. So you just try to like notice it and dismiss it within yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Similarly, I also grew up not with not a lot of racism in my background. I mean, there was some of that. I grew up in Nebraska, so
Yeah.
it's pretty corn fed. So it's not to say that it wasn't around. It just wasn't part of my family ethos. We
Yeah.
didn't really have that going
It
on.
wasn't even like a specific, like, we are not, let me tell you what we're not. It just
Hmm.
just never came in.
But you mentioned all these people that really like probably in some way contributed to your lack of racism or not going that direction. And then of course, the Chappelle Show was such an enormous hit that I imagine that there are probably a lot of people that saw it that may have been prejudiced, and that because they're laughing at Clayton Bigsby or whatever it is, that maybe that potentially had some positive effect on helping them to come around. Maybe.
Yeah, I think if you see, I think it has less to do necessarily with the show. I think it's like if you see virtuosity in somebody, whether it's comedy or music or science, spelling bee, fuck, whatever.
Hmm.
It, I think it's hard to then dismiss whatever race or gender that person is.
Yeah. You see genius.
Yeah, it's just harder to go like those people are X when you've seen the absolute opposite of deficiency.
Hmm.
You've seen absolute mastery. In that regard, I would say it may have contributed in that way, but I think it'd be self-serving to say like I know for a fact that it did. I
Right. Of
just think
course.
any sort
Right.
of mastery is makes a huge impression on people,
Hmm.
and somebody like Dave is, incredibly, it's like uh, off the charts. So hopefully it makes it harder for people to be racist once they've experienced what he can do.
Do you have like a feeling of ownership, or is there like an honor in you around being a part of the Chappelle Show? Like, do you look back and think, God, I feel so lucky to be a part of that?
Yeah, it's like unbelievable. I mean, there's points where I'm like, I kind of can't believe it. Most of my life, I kind of can't believe, but there's times where like I'll tell my girlfriend a story and she'll be like, "Really?" I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I never told you that." Yeah, yeah. That's another thing though. Like the more time goes on, it's a bit like it's getting to be a while ago. It had a lot of staying power, but it seems to be a bit like in its probably last stage of relevance.
So that kind of brings me to questions of mission. Like, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is like, it's clear that you have a certain ethos in your demeanor and why it is that you tell the jokes that you tell and the type of comedy that that you do. um how important to you is like mission? Like, do you feel like you went in, doing comedy and meeting Dave and working with him and all that because you had this mission that you wanted to fulfill, that felt like that was part of your purpose?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that was a big part of me and Dave's relationship was like even from the early on was like we both had very similar taste and like thought the same things were hacky for the most part. And especially on the TV show, a lot of it was just about like showing people how talented Dave was, but some of it was, trying to show people that racism's stupid. But again, like I said, some of like, and we did a bunch of sketches like that, but we also had a lot of like sketches about boobs and like
Yeah.
dumb, really dumb sketches. So I can't say that it was all like,
Right.
oh, here we go. I honor you, sir. Now let's put this, whatever. Put these prosthetic teeth in or whatever. Like just some of it's legitimately stupid. So I can't.
But fun,
So
stupid.
I do try to be as much as I politically I bang something of a drum, but I think it's more like if I have a mission, it's trying to do quality work more than I was talking to my girlfriend about this today. It's like, to me, the goal is to get the biggest laugh with the highest level of difficulty on the joke or on
Mhm.
the angle. It's like, if everyone's doing the angle, I'm never going to do it. So it's like, can I hit this same thing, that the same 20 things everyone talks about as a comedian and even in sketch shows or TV shows? And can I do it in a way that is technically advanced but still works? When a sketch bombed on Chappelle Show, I would look at Dave and go, very smart sketch. Very smart. We'd like make fun of each other like you were so brilliant when you thought of that. It's never going to be on TV and we're going to throw it away as soon as the people leave. But man, how smart are we, right? Let's pat ourselves on the back. The goal is to be funny, and if I can figure out a way to be funny in a way that like gets a point across, cool. But it's the first mission one is funny.
Is there a good example, like, of a joke that you can think of that sort of hits that mark for you, where it's like super challenging, but you're getting, the level of difficulty is high, but it's super
I
funny?
mean, the one that just came to mind is like I have a joke in my Netflix block special about like people in America hoarding weapons, thinking that they may be able to take on the American military. Um, and then I do like what that would look like, and it's basically just like the military just attacks them with drones. right? Anyway, so I thought of the joke and or whatever. I was like, oh, I what was like I started doing it in 2021, and I called Dave actually, and I go, hey, has anyone done this joke? And he goes, you pitched me that joke in 1994.
Wow. No
So I've
shit.
been sitting on it, and that's not even a matter of like that's okay. So that would be having the observation that people that think that they're going to beat the American military with their personal arsenal. So that's just like so. I've thought that was dumb since 1994.
Uh-huh. It's still
28 years later, I figured out a way to say how dumb it was. So it's not, again, that's not like, and I changed the military industrial complex forever. And nothing happened.
right. Nothing
It's
happened.
just a good joke that people post on Instagram and Twitter sometimes is like whenever that there's a flare up of militias,
Yeah.
people will post that. So like I don't think, and then they just argue about it. So like I don't think it's, again, I don't think I'm having a huge impact, but I will say like
Hmm.
but I can stand by my ideas.
Yeah, that's
But in
interesting.
terms of like, and there,
Because
I
I think
have,
you're
and
having a
I,
huge impact.
yeah, say again.
I think you're having a huge impact
I don't look, I'm not saying I'm not popular. I'm not saying people don't come see me. I'm not saying, I'm just saying like,
in terms of changing minds. You're not
yeah, in
sure.
terms of changing the world or changing minds, like I think it's very, very difficult to change people's minds. I
Hmm.
think you can change someone's point of view on something, but therefore I don't think anyone is turning their arsenal in after they hear that joke.
Right. Well, that's
I think
definitely
people
not
that agree
happening.
with me are like it.
But you might be saving somebody's life who's got a giant arsenal, and they're like, "I'm going to fucking take on the U.S. Army sometime," and they hear a joke and they don't do it.
I
But you
don't think I
might do.
am.
You don't really
I
know.
mean, yeah,
I'm going to find
anything's
somebody
possible.
that happened.
I don't
Okay,
think you're going to, but
I'm going to.
but I hope you. I would
I'm
like
on
you
the
to
hunt.
waste a lot of
Please
time,
write in to the podcast.
please.
Okay.
Yes.
It's so interesting because I live, we live up here in the Grass Valley area, and there's a very interesting combination of people who are like doing medicine work and drinking ayahuasca and ceremonies and sweat lodges, and then like people that are, building their own arsenal. There's a lot
Yep.
of people like
That
when,
have giant flags.
yeah, giant flags, giant Trump flags. In fact, like during the election, it was Trump, Harris, Trump, Harris, Trump, Harris, Trump, Harris on the
Yeah.
block. And the beautiful thing about that for me was like, okay, we're all getting along, so at least that's
Yeah.
happening. Nobody's
Yeah.
actually murdering each other.
Yeah.
But so I think that there's something to be said for that. Like even just telling jokes about it, being able to poke fun at it, like that does kind of like take the air out of the room.
I will say, I think comedy, like I said, I think it's a good salve. I think it's a good release valve
Mhm.
for people. My thing is like, yeah, I do jokes. I am a Democrat and I'm friends with Joe Rogan and do his podcast all the time. So like I don't like water myself down. He doesn't water himself down, and we are friends for 30 years.
Right. That's beautiful.
It's possible, you
Yeah.
know.
So I do want to ask you about so laughter in and of itself, because you mentioned, hey, we did a bunch of sketches that were like about racism, and that's great, but also we did a bunch of dumb shit that's just about boobs and whatever else.
Yep.
Um, what I, Obviously you're fully invested in the idea that like laughter is good medicine for people. Like, what does that mean
I
to
don't
you?
I mean again, somebody I think Dom Irera, comedian buddy of mine used to do they say laughter is the best medicine. But if you're sick, try to get real medicine. Um it's not the best medicine. It's not it's fun,
Hmm.
but don't you need sutures, band-aids,
Right.
you need antibiotics, you need lots of other stuff. You need chemotherapy, I love being funny. I love it as like a tool within my own life. Like it's like a very valuable, it's a fun thing. It's like a really fun thing to be able to do. It's like being able to do magic.
Hmm.
It's very, very fun to do. So, but in terms of it being medicine, I don't think I don't take it.
Well, let me clarify a little bit because I
Mhm.
mean, on the actual medicine front, there's like your Patch Adams, right, who had some success at helping cancer patients with laughter, and who knows what effect that actually had on them. But I
Mhm.
mean, laughter as medicine to like heal your own like wounds and your own insecurities and your emotional injuries and whatever else, all the bullshit that we got close to all of our blocks.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. I like because like George Burns lived to be 101 or something, and I think Milton Berle lived to be very old, and Jerry Lewis, and but then like I know a lot of people that very hilarious people that died young of drug addiction and food addiction and suicide, and so I think it's like anything. It's just mixed. Both are true.
I get that, but I would say also like so much of your work now, like the Blocks podcast, your special, even Three Mics, is dedicated towards like really pulling out the emotional wounding that we've got to and really like look at it, be honest about it.
Those parts are not funny though. The emo parts are specifically not funny.
They're they're not, but don't you feel like part of it telling jokes in that manner and asking people what's like really going on does sort of help to heal, and it's also healing for people listening in a way that they wouldn't hear it otherwise.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
I
mean?
think it's yeah, I think it probably makes like mental health a little more uh palatable to people, but I think it's probably it I think it was going that way anyway, and I think I kind of helped it like with a bunch of other people, making it just more like we can just talk about it like a tennis elbow.
Right.
Um and not making it so like queer or whatever, any of the or stigmatizing it. I still don't think it's people are dying to talk about it,
Yeah.
but I think it's significantly more acceptable to talk about in public than it was certainly when we were younger.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I never had any shame about it. I was just like, yeah, no. I even family never. I just never had any. I just thought it was silly to have shame about it.
That's incredible. Do you think that there's, because speaking for myself and my own sort of like challenges around, I've never really been like depressed. Fortunately I haven't had that, but I have had like problems, and I did have shame about the fact that I had problems, and I know that that's like a very normal thing. Like most people, even like
I'm gonna go
good
so far
friends
as
of
say
mine,
everybody has problems.
everybody has problems, and also people have shame about the fact that they have problems, and you
Right.
didn't, which is an anomaly.
Yeah, I have shame about mental health shame. I don't have a lot of or mental health. Yeah, mental. Don't have a lot of mental health shame. In some ways, I've like sort of grown out of it in a weird. I've grown out of my penchant for self pity. Like I that's a thing that's passed in the past year or two as well. My girlfriend has a son and who's like 4 or 5. He's about to turn 5, and but seeing the amount of effort it takes to be a parent, I was like, I got to take it easy on like blaming my parents for stuff because this is so hard
Hmm.
that it's like
Wow.
blaming someone for being like, hey, I don't like the way you acted during that tornado. Like, sorry, kid, I had my hands full, you know? So, but I talked about 3 months, talked about my dad a lot. I've talked about what I think I would categorize as like fairly difficult circumstances that I'm now just recently, I'm just like, I'm not even going to present it as difficult anymore because I finally have enough perspective to go like, not that difficult relative to a lot of the world.
Yeah. Would you call that, because to me that occurs as transformation? It occurs to me that you've transformed, you've grown, you've healed those wounds, and so therefore they don't even occur to you to be part of your thinking.
Again, even the idea of like healing the wound, I think it's in some ways there is. I have, as I mentioned earlier, done ayahuasca, DMT, MDMA, and had really, really, really beneficial experiences. And then some of it may just be like, I used to really like movies, and now I just don't really watch movies anymore. I watch documentaries, but I like, it's almost like I don't want to say it's like a genre of thought I no longer subscribe to.
Okay.
And it may be transformation, it may be growth, it may be a form of God intervention or grace, and I genuinely say that as like, it is probably that.
Yeah.
Um, and I want to also be open to the fact that maybe it's time, or it's literally like chemicals,
Sure.
or it is, or a lot of it's just perspective. The Lucy and her son is like, that's been a big one in terms of um changing my perspective.
Yeah. And also, I mean, to say, "Oh no, I've transformed out of that," just I mean, it stinks.
I just can't do it anymore. I can't. I literally have no stomach for it. I feel like the new age spiritual space is like so flooded with nonsense at this point that I can't bring myself to. I try to talk around it if I
Mhm.
can, because I actually think it turns off more people than it turns on
Mhm.
to talk in a way of like, I have like I try to say, I won't allow myself to say journey more than twice a month. So that's my own personal process. Could have said journey just then, didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
It's my own
that's
personal
2 on
process.
the podcast in a row.
I'm not saying anyone else needs to do it. I'm just saying that I just find it like, it's so um saturated, it just has no credibility anymore.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like the amount of people using this. I follow this Instagram account called Healing from Healing, that's just clips of people being silly
Uh-huh.
in the
Nice.
new age space, and I adore it. It's so funny.
That's great. So I think this is like an important conversation because I agree with you. I find that like things like transformation, those things, I believe in it. I feel it in for myself in different things when things have like cleared and they don't bother me anymore. I call that transformation. I don't, but I
Yeah,
also get that it's like fucking be careful because if you're identifying with that or there's any kind of pride in it, then it's like destroys the whole nature of it.
yeah. And if you're smug about it, or you're using it as a branding opportunity, or you're using it
Right.
as like, I just think there's a thing in
It
12 step.
retoxifies.
Yeah, it's like, even Jeff, I have a three toxics per month. So and I have a zero detox. So it's a bit like in 12 step programs, you don't say you're in it, because if you fuck up, then the program looks bad,
Oh,
right? So
is
that's
that
the
why?
point of, yeah.
Okay.
If a celebrity says I go to AA and then they catch a DUI 2 weeks later, people go, "Oh, that
That
person,
doesn't
the
work.
AA doesn't work."
Uh-huh, and then all the people that
That's
might go to it wouldn't go to it.
Yes, because they
Ah,
go, "Well, I'm not going to go there." You just end up getting a DUI.
right.
So that's, again, and this is coming from somebody who's talked about ayahuasca ad nauseum. So I'm of course a hypocrite.
Mhm.
That goes without saying. I'm just saying now I'm trying to be less of a hypocrite and less of a. I'm still a zealot, but I try to be somewhat um,
Measured.
measured and specific with the language I use, because I find it's nauseating
Yeah.
for me. It's not to everybody, but for me.
Yeah,
And
no,
again, I have had the T word transformation. I have had grace. I have had all this stuff, but I just try not to. It just is easy to just dismiss somebody if they're, you know what I mean?
yeah, especially when you get into the semantics of there's a word for it and then people are prideful about it, then automatically it does turn people off.
Someone got mad at me one time for referring to ayahuasca as Aya on a podcast,
Why? Why?
because they just want to get it's again, everyone just gets like doing it right, and it's like, okay, man. Uh so that's, I try to just stay out of that language sphere. And in
Yeah,
some ways I try not to use the same words everybody else uses. Some you have to, but
it's interesting. I just my last podcast was with Charles Eisenstein and he
How do I know
talks.
that name?
He wrote the More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible, and
Hmm.
he sat in ayahuasca with Zach and Rachel, and I don't know if he wrote that Ceremony of Mirrors with those two
No,
guys. Um, but yeah, he's a modern philosopher guy. He's a really brilliant guy, and one of his
I've heard of him somewhere. I don't remember where.
yeah, he's worth checking out for sure. But one of his things is like self-righteousness is like that's the kind of the worst form of, I don't think he calls it evil, but like pride, where you like just are looking down on other people. How if you're using your transformation or whatever it is to look down or sound like you're better than other people in any way, that just defeats the entire purpose.
Yeah, somebody said that one of the nicest things in terms of like ayahuasca changes. Somebody that didn't know I'd done it, that had known me a long time, came up to me and goes, "What did you do?"
Oh wow.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, it's your whole thing is different. What did you do?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll tell you." But they didn't know.
Hmm.
So that's like that, and that's happened once.
Yeah,
So like,
that's
now I've
beautiful.
told thousands of people, if not
Hmm.
millions on Rogan, but whatever. So the ideally, I just try to maintain some just openness to like it could have been a lot of things. I have my
Hmm.
suspicion of what it was, but it could have been a lot of things.
Yeah. So, well, let's dive into that a little bit because obviously that's for those of you at home that don't know, Neil and I drank ayahuasca together. That's right, a few times on several occasions.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we know each other, and in fact, I think we both came to it kind of at the same time.
I think
Back
the
then,
same ceremony, I believe.
yeah, it was the same ceremony. We were
I
like,
had done it once before that, but yeah.
yeah, and it was bad, as I recall.
No, that one was it was not bad.
Oh, okay. There was another one with
The one after you and me was bad.
okay,
But
yeah, with
that's a whole other
rickety
podcast.
shaman.
Uh-huh. Yes, sir.
So in this context, I think we can have this conversation. Like I have witnessed a lot of things change and heal in you during that journey, and I imagine I can't, that you've also seen that in me, things that have healed and changed and shifted and opened up, and like things that we've both moved through as a result of like sitting with that medicine in that space. And I know for myself, and I'm not obviously neither of us is afraid to talk about the value that I've seen out of having that kind of perspective, like really sitting with that medicine and being in a closer relationship with source, I guess we could say, or whatever the great mystery, if you will.
Yeah, I was an atheist. I was an atheist before and then drank it. I think it was the weekend with you and I was like, "Okay." Just like opened my eyes and was like, "Okay, I'm in the presence of what I think is a God
Hmm.
energy or force and have believed ever since."
Hmm.
I hate to say like, and now I'm a believer and through Jesus Christ. It's not Jesus, it's not
Right.
Allah, it's got no, it's generic brand God.
Right.
It's Kirkland brand. It's not even Kirkland. It's generic. It's government. It's not even government. I don't know. It's generic. It's non-denominational. And my sense of that being a thing hasn't waned since. And then someone would say like, but and you're happier now, and it's like I don't think I'm happier because I believe in a central creation force. I kind of think it's different systems within me personally.
Hmm.
But yeah, so and I have had it's given me a lot of perspective, and it's gotten me off antidepressants. That was massive, and it's had zero downside besides everyone saying journey, and like that's the only downside is that at the I'm people more people I know use goofy language,
Hmm.
including me
Yeah.
when I get sloppy. I start saying journey and holding space. Um,
in a
so
in a container. You're holding
Yeah,
space.
in a container. Yes, I'm in the flow. Yes. So sacred. So yeah. So that's been. It's been. I gotta say, all upside for me. I mean, I've had obviously rough ceremonies that I've spoken about in other places, but everyone who does it, you know, often enough will have some tricky ones,
Mm-hmm.
but they
Definitely.
are temporary. And of course there's the cliche within this world, that the most difficult ceremonies are the most helpful long term, which I gotta say I agree with.
Yeah,
It's like
me too.
bad news. It's like, you know
Sadly.
what helps, you know what makes you lose weight? Diet and exercise. Shit. um you know what can really make you grow? A difficult, almost incomprehensible ayahuasca, or that family of entheogens.
Yeah.
Um, try not to say medicine.
Good job.
Uh,
I'm proud of
yeah,
you.
thank you. That it it really helped me personally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think like there's no question for me as well. Like my relationship with generic God has definitely deepened, and the force has definitely deepened, and like it reminds me of trying to explain it to my father when I was younger, because I've always had like a belief in God, and not just, I grew up very relaxed Christianity, so it wasn't about hell and all that stuff. It was more about like golf and just how to be a good person and compassion, and like what he was really, the core teachings of Christianity: be compassionate towards all beings, and God is in everything, and that kind of stuff. And I was always I had a lot of conversations with my father trying to explain it, and we finally got to like, well, the force is pretty good. He was like, yeah, I can see maybe that the force is a real thing. But I know from my own experience doing so many ceremonies with ayahuasca and other entheogens. See how I did it. I didn't do it. I didn't say the M word.
Yep,
All
you're
right.
growing. You're
Woo!
transforming. I hate to say I haven't seen transformation, but
You
I
just did
am. I
it.
know.
But I find that like a lot of the effect for me is that it makes it easier for me to just sort of like dissect and remove myself from the silly delusions that have me suffer more, if that makes sense. It's like it helps me just knowing, having like a faith, okay, there is some kind of God force that is moving through me and all things and around me at all times. And so a lot of the time, if I'm having a rough go and I'm stuck in my head and I'm experiencing a lot of insecurity or doubt or whatever, like there is a space of just going, no way, just stop, listen, meditate, let it go, let that dissipate, don't let that control you, and that for me is liberating. Not in any way that like I would proselytize to anyone else, like you need to do ayahuasca to find
Yeah.
God, but more just like on a personal level. Yeah, that substance, that ancient substance, really works for me to just really connect to who I am, what my mission is, what my purpose is.
Yeah. I mean, I find an identical experience. I mean, that's the truth is, and I can't say everyone I know has had that experience on it, but it's one of those things of like, some things just really work for some people.
Hmm.
And I would say that really worked for me.
Yeah, same. Still doing it. Christine and I, my wife, had the privilege of seeing blocks in New York when you did it,
Mm,
and
yes.
I mean, I was also blown away by Three Mics, which was amazing. Blocks came after you started your ayahuasca journey.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, I had to do it.
Hmm.
Come on, I had to do it.
Hmm.
I had to
Yep.
do it.
Yep. Yep.
Started after you worked with that substance that people call
Hmm.
ayahuasca. And I
Hmm.
wonder how much that experience influenced.
I'd written it before
Okay.
I did it. So in a weird way, I was like performing a different script of my life.
Hmm.
If that makes sense. Like the script was kind of changing and different. The next one, Crazy Good on Netflix, like that one was actually weirdly more uh post ayahuasca informed and
Hmm.
post DMT informed, and Bufo, which I did the day you came to see Blocks.
Yeah.
Um, and later that night. So I would say that in a weird way, not even in a weird way, like Blocks is more emotional than Crazy Good. Crazy Good's funnier. I mean, that is kind of the ironic thing is like the Bufo made me a little funnier,
Hmm.
and Aya made me a little funnier. It just made me a little. It just sort of like shook up my synapses, I believe. So
Hmm.
and made me it changed my spirit, and that made me funnier to audiences. Like the
Hmm.
laughs were bigger,
Yeah.
which sounds crazy, but like no, I go to every show. Like I can tell the difference in intensity.
Hmm.
So I can't really say it I mean it informed the material, but I wasn't more benevolent.
Hmm. It's more like it cleaned out the instrument.
It just made my energy better. It just made
Yeah.
my energy more fun.
Yeah.
It got rid of it, like flushed so much depression tissue out.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so it just made me funnier to it made me more fun to watch.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's really fascinating. I often reflect on, um, how much performing music in ceremony has made a difference for me as a performer. Like it's just really totally, I want to say transformed. Fuck, I can't say transformed. It's really, I guess, magnified, the way that I performed. It's allowed me to open up into the song more and really just commit and connect to the song more so that it's like fully coming through me. So that it's like, I often have gotten the reflection from a couple of people in ceremony that like I feel like your soul totally comes through you when you're performing in ceremony, and I resonate with that. I feel that as well. I feel like I'm not. There's less of me in the way. There's less of like my ego and my wounding and whatever my identity or whatever you want to call it. Just my baggage,
Yeah.
my depressive tissue, as you put it. Like that stuff is cleared out, so that I'm able to just be, more of an instrument for what it is that I really want to communicate or whatever's coming through me, in the performance.
Yeah, it's another thing it can do for certain people is it a result of it can be to just lighten your spirit. I know that to be true in my case.
I wonder if you ever think about like what life would have been like had you not, done ayahuasca. Like had you continued to do antidepressants and gone down that path, and do you ever consider that? Like what would it be like?
Yeah, I mean I kind of don't that much because but I think it's worth thinking about. I mean my first thought is like I would just have continued on the path of like anger and cynicism.
Hmm.
And now it's cynicism with no anger. I'm kidding. Now it's I just have more generosity toward people, and I don't I catch my anger or self-pity faster now, which
Hmm.
again, could be time, could be sleep. I got a sleep mattress bet. I'm kidding. Could be a lot of stuff, but
Bidet. It's the bidet. Let's be honest.
it's the Tushy.
Yeah.
Use promo code Neal. And but yeah, yeah, I'm that's one of the things I'm really glad about is like I mean I genuinely I used to judge my life before Chappelle Show and after, and now it's
Hmm.
and then it was probably before Three Mics and after, and now it's before ayahuasca and after.
Hmm. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to me because I find, particularly like in our parents' generation, and just generally speaking, I don't mean to make like cast major judgments on society, but I have witnessed, I should say, like a lot of people that just get more and more cynical and resigned as time gets on, and then they end up growing up to be this older person who's very cynical and resigned and just super unhappy and judgmental about other people. And having witnessed that, having had people that are close to me in my life, like that's definitely something that I was like, I really do not want that to be my life story, that I at the end I'm just super judgmental. And and I find that I I am less judgmental. I wonder, like, for you, you've talked about that you've had like a lot of comparison with other people that you don't have anymore.
I'm still competitive. I mean, with like people, and I want to do well. I think the word you may have meant instead of comparison, associated with, and I think within that there is comparison. So yeah, that stuff doesn't, it just stop. I mean, the thinking about you talking about bitterness and old people, it's the thing that it took me so long to realize. It's like it really is self-defeating. It's like it is.
Yeah,
There's something empowering about being angry or being cynical, but in the long term, it's like,
seemingly.
dude, people don't like it.
Yeah.
Meaning, like you're a it's people repellent.
Hmm. It
So
is.
if you want to be, not like I want to be the life of the party or something, but I do, like anybody, I want to be liked, I want to belong, I want to be respected, I want to, all that stuff. And in being that, you're not going to get there.
Yeah.
You're just not going to get there. So, and I can say I think the odds of me getting there without ayahuasca, DMT, and Bufo are zero.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting because I find, like, in my own in my own life's journey. Okay, see, there's a
Nope,
qualifier.
nope.
Does that
It
work?
still
No.
counts. Nope, nope.
Shit.
Say process, say life. You get to say life.
In my own life. Okay.
There you go. It's like saying Corinthian leather. Just say leather. My life's journey. Wow, now
I don't
it's
even know what Corinthian
important,
leather
Jeff.
is.
Now it used to be what they put in a Dodge, in a Mercury, Ricardo Montalban, and they would
Okay,
Corinthian leather.
that's
Just
Corinthian
say
leather.
your
Okay,
life, my life's journey. Wow, now it's an important fable.
it is. It's a very important fucking fable. All right,
Oh,
the lunacy
yeah,
fable. Uh,
yes.
in my life, I have
Mm-hmm.
found that when I get stuck in judgment, then it becomes, in comparison for myself, comparing myself to other people. They're more successful. Why am I not successful? What's wrong with me? Like, and then it being more judgmental and closed off. Then that part of me that you say is also like people repellent, becomes, it's like addictive. It's like, well, I want that more, which makes no
Yeah,
fucking sense at all. But
yeah.
that's how it works.
And also, people aren't accepting or rejecting you or accepting or rejecting me because of Dave. They're not going to say, I don't like you because I think of you with Dave. It's like they don't like me because they don't like me.
Right.
Part of it was if I'm complaining about Dave or bellyaching about Dave or sort of it's on me, or bitter in general, the comparison, no one's ever had to select between the two, you and somebody else. It's just, it doesn't never happen, but I don't think people are making many decisions based on comparison and spite. They either like it or they don't.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right. I think so. For me personally, what I would say is, like, if I pay into the fully judgmental Jeff, the fully resigned, cynical Jeff that thinks there's no hope and it's all fucked. That part of me doesn't, like, it's hard for me to get out of that perspective without something like an ayahuasca experience, without something like doing like a very challenging, even, like, I mean, I've done sweat lodge ceremonies that have been hugely effective on me, similar kind of vibe, or had grieving rituals that have been super effective and helpful for me to, like, release that energy. But without something like that, I find that it's very challenging to unlock myself from the grips of that perspective, from the addiction to that way of looking at things.
My experience of that is that you have these experiences, whether it's ceremonies of whatever kind, and then you kind of just that's a little bit in you now, or it's a little bit in me now, and I can kind of carry it with me a little bit, so that if I'm in a negative rut, I can catch it quickly, and get in
Yeah.
front of it. I
Yeah.
can't say that I've had like, I shouldn't say I never, but it's not often that I have like, and now I felt this way. I mean, atheism, pretty big one, but like I felt this way and now I feel this way after ceremony.
Hmm.
I did have one recently, but I don't want to. it's only been 3 weeks, so I don't want to be like, and now I'm different.
Hmm.
I just
Yeah.
don't. It's another one of those like, give it time. We'll see if you're different.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's something about that those kind of experiences make me more responsive, make me more aware. Like the some of the challenging experiences that I've had during ayahuasca ceremonies, getting stuck in like thought patterns and like just having that happen. Now I'm much more aware that that just happens regularly in life. And what it does, I can stop and say, nope, that's not what's happening here.
Yes, gives you it. You're more equipped, and you have probably more perspective and more. I certainly have more gratitude than I did before I started doing medicine.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely. So I want to talk about Blocks, your
Yep.
podcast, which I'm a
Yep.
huge fan of. I love
Thank you
that
very
show.
much.
It's really great.
Thank you.
And also like I wanted to talk about because you mentioned you and other people have sort of made that more popular, but I mean maybe I'm missing something, but I feel like you have been a huge pioneer in that in terms of like bringing vulnerability.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was maybe it's people that did emo stand-up shows. Um, Me, Mike Birbiglia, Haas Minaj, Alex Edelman, Hannah Gadsby. Sure, I'm forgetting a few people. Gerard Carmichael, Rami Youssef. That made it a little more. It just became like more of a genre.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think that's helpful for, like I said, destigmatizing and making people aware of stuff. It's just an insightful, sort of soulful. Is I don't love that word, but like try to be a slightly more meaningful than just like what's the time you ever shit on a bus? You know what I mean? Like just making it more, a little more than shitting on a bus.
It's more substantive, it's more
Yeah,
real, it's more
yeah,
relatable, it's more what the human experience is and what people who
yeah.
are listening to you are going through. And so then, which I think is super valuable medicine for people to be
Uh-oh.
able to but it is like helpful for people to hear these things.
Yeah, I think Dax Shepard's podcast is really huge with that. I think women have been doing it forever, but
That's
I
true.
think
They have.
but I think Oprah obviously a huge one. But and then there's Tony Robbins and Wayne Dyer and those people who sort of were more on the male end of it. But
But
yeah,
none of
so
those,
so
they're not comedians also.
yeah, that's true. So yeah, so the in terms of comedy, I have been pulling the rope in that direction somewhat. But
Yeah,
again, the last one, Crazy Good, has zero emotional content.
it
And
doesn't,
it's, by the
but
way,
it's funny.
twice as popular as Blocks at 3 mics.
Really? I did
Yep.
not know that. I mean, I loved it. I got to see that one in person too,
Yeah,
but
that again, you would think like, well, no, they must be, no, it's not even close. People
hmm.
don't like the emo stuff, Jeff.
Hmm.
Stop trying to make me do it. They don't like it. They just want comedy. The other stuff was heavy. They said enough. You can it with the Pioneer shit. Where are the jokes?
But so but that's great and I appreciate that. And
Yep.
blocks is, I mean, it's a very successful podcast, and also you're bringing in all these different people, these comedians that don't ordinarily, and people
Yeah.
celebrities that don't normally
Mostly
talk
comedians. Yeah.
about these things. They don't talk about
Yeah.
their blocks, and that's the focus of the show. I'm curious to know, like, have you noticed anything in terms of like even feedback from your guests about like, wow, that was really interesting to be able to talk about those things that I would never talk about on a show.
The ideal, I mean, at this point, most of them have in other places. I think there's every once in a while, there are people, I think Johnny Knoxville talked and more about, he never really talked about knowing Hunter Thompson, which was, I think it was like about watching someone get destroyed by alcohol and drugs. And I really liked that one. And he said he got a lot of nice comments about it. And um, my favorite one in terms of like the uniqueness of it was Seinfeld, in that because of the specials, people will like talk to me a little more about their sort of emotions. Not a ton, but like a little more, right?
Mhm.
Including Jerry, and who I'm became buddies with, I don't know, 8 years ago or something. So it was fun to. make him tell stories that he told me off the air
Hmm.
that he never, like, I was like, what did Warren Beatty made him want to have kids? And he was like, this is kind of a sad story. But I made him tell the story. And like, it's a very popular clip because it is interesting.
Hmm.
And, and, and there was a thing where I was like, does it feel at the end of the episode? He's like, I was like, what do you think of all this? And he's like, yeah, sometimes I think like, did I plan all this
Hmm.
before I got here? Which it's not exactly a episode of the sitcom.
Hmm.
So stuff like that, I'm happy to not even squeeze out of people, but just like, you know, it's just interesting. I just don't want it to be the same interview that they always do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Is there, so you sort of spoke to this already, but I'm just curious, is there like, actually, just generally speaking, is there something in your career and or with that podcast that you're like, what is it that you're like the most proud of? The thing that you're just like, man, this one really hit the mark for what I'm here to do. Aside from this podcast.
I mean, of course, that's obvious. I'm you know, grateful is not even the right word for how I feel about the fact that I have a few things that I could say that one or that one. Um, because it's like I really like Three Mics. I because it is like innovative, and I was like sort of no one was really cared about me career wise. I was like I'd done a Comedy Central special, no one really cared, so I was like, all right, well, let me just try something else, and that became Three Mics, and and then Netflix passed, and then they said yes, and it was pop. Yeah, so I'm very proud of that, very proud of Chappelle Show, and then I'm very proud of Crazy Good because it is like conventional stand up, but in like, and I did that about as well as anybody else does conventional stand up. So like it's a tie, it's a three-way tie for first, Jeff.
Okay, I'm into it. I mean, you're somebody that has, from your writing to doing stand up to like your whole life, like there's a lot of risks that you have taken, you know? And I'm just curious, like, what do you say to people that are out there that are thinking, man, there's this dream that I have that I really want to do, but I'm afraid to do it? Like, what is it for you that allows you to kind of like put that voice aside and just go for it?
It's most when even that I don't really think of it as very little of it did I consider risky.
Mm,
Meaning it not even it's not like because I was so sure I could do it. It
mm-hmm,
was just more like I can't help it. I couldn't help it. I had to do that. I didn't want to go to NYU anymore. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, but you're making $235 a week. Yeah, I don't know. I can't do that anymore.
mm-hmm,
Um, I so with 3 months, it's like so I did like even doing stand up. People are like, "Why are you doing stand up? Like, why don't you just be a writer?" I was like, "Because I don't want to be a writer.
right.
I don't want to be." Again, I like still do. I not very much anymore, but I would write. I wrote for Ellen and Dave when he did SNL, and Seth at the Correspondence Dinner, and Trevor Noah a little bit at the Daily Show. But like I didn't want to be a writer. I didn't want to have a TV show and go in an office 12 hours a day and wear a flannel shirt. I just didn't want to do that. So as much as it was, I guess, risky, I was risking embarrassment because I was very high status from Chappelle Show. And like, then I started having to MC at the Laugh Factory. Not the most vaunted position in showbiz, but
Mm-hmm,
like, I don't know. I didn't mind it. It didn't, I wasn't, I wanted to get through it. I wanted to like, no, let's get to the next part. But
right.
I wasn't mad about it. Like I'd open for people. I'd, go carry their drinks. I'd whatever. Like I wasn't, and I still had money, maybe more money in the bank than them. I don't know. It just seemed like apprenticeship or something. So I don't know. I just never, just seemed like, that's what I'm going to do. It didn't feel that risky. And I
Mm-hmm,
also will dip my toe in and I'll go to the first step of the pool and the second step of the pool and like I I try to like, I'll practice like 3 mics I did on the show called Meltdown on Comedy Central in probably 2014. Like I just did like a 6 minute version of it and then was like, okay, this could scale out. And then I did it at Montreal Comedy Festival and it was like, oh, this works. And then I did it. That was in 2015. Then I did 2016 in New York off Broadway. So like it wasn't, I did it in the belly room at the Comedy Store also. And like nobody came and, you know, that's embarrassing, but I've also been, you know, like the blind white supremacist, Clayton Bigsby,
Mm-hmm.
we showed to somebody, first person we showed it to literally said, you guys are going to be in a lot of trouble.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, he thought it was racist. He was black dude. So like,
Huh.
um, so and then we showed it at
Number one
the
sketch.
yeah, and then we showed it at Caroline's Comedy Club, and it just destroyed. And the same guy saw it, and what did he say? He was like, "Oh, people got crazy opinions." Like he still didn't say, hey, just so you know, I was so wrong." He was like, or no, he might have said, "People will laugh at anything."
Ah,
It was
that
one of
sounds
those
right.
things. Like,
Yeah.
oh, so you weren't wrong. Cool. So like or I remember maybe the racial draft we showed at the Comedy Cellar the night before we showed it to the audience, and it was like 1:30 in the morning at the Comedy Cellar, and it just didn't do good. And Dave's like, "This is not the audience for it." Like, so just sort of not
Hmm.
panicking.
He knew.
Yeah, it's just a good sketch. So like, not panicking, and I can generally speaking, like if I have time, I can rewrite it or try to make it better. I think there's something about being a comedian that's a little not suicidal in like you want to kill yourself, but like you it's like the free solo guy where the thing in your brain that like lights up for most people in terms of like heights doesn't does not light up for him. I'm not saying it doesn't light up for me at all. I do get panic attacks on stage for some reason, but I
Mm-hmm.
take propanolol and I don't. So but I you know I do a new joke show pretty much every week and I it's like real fucking embarrassing
Mm-hmm.
and just like it's just literally part of the process. It's like trying skateboard tricks. Like they're not going to work the first time, but you get closer and closer and closer. So it's being realistic about the process and that it's going to be you're going to have to come up with new iterations and new iterations and new iterations.
Mm-hmm. And you're not afraid to like hit your head on the concrete, so to speak.
No, because it's not. You're not. It's you know what I mean. Like it's not actual concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Comedy's not actual medicine, and failing at comedy's not actual concrete.
Right.
Like you just are like it's just like fuck. You can literally get a laugh from how poorly it did. Chappelle has a funny observation, which is like you can tell how funny someone is by how they bomb. So it's like Johnny Carson was as funny bombing as he was crushing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like just making it fun.
Yeah. What is your writing process for stand up?
I have in the notebook note app, and I just write observations down. And then if I have a new joke show, like I do on Tuesday, pretty much every Tuesday in Santa Monica, I will do a long version of the joke fleshed out with beats and then and then I kind of bullet point it for the show.
And then you try it out at the show and
Yeah,
then you
try
see
it
what
out and
works.
try it out and try it out and like you can kind of tell when it's going to work or like if it works the first time. Sometimes it craps out, but 80% of the time it'll stay working.
Mm-hmm. And that's the
So,
West Side Comedy Theater that you
yeah, yeah.
you own, which is
Yes.
awesome.
No, I don't. I do not own it.
Oh, you don't?
I do not own the West Side Comedy Theater, but I do a show there once a week,
Okay.
more or
Why did
less.
I think you owned it? Is that a
Jeff, you have a
kind of a
lot of
misconception?
the good news is
Obviously.
you give me an upgrade on all these stories. So, and then Obama said, punch me in the face. You're so funny.
I swear to God, he told you that he thought
He
Chappelle Show was the best show
might,
ever.
he might,
I'm pretty positive that he
I
told me
feel
that.
like
Because where
maybe he
else would I
told
get
Dave
that? I
that.
didn't make it
Maybe
up.
he told Dave that. I don't know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember that, but maybe.
Nice. Okay, so I asked this of all my guests. For you, Neil, what is sacred and what is insane?
sacred, I would say it's life in general, like the on switch. The thing that animates everything is sacred
Mm-hmm.
to me. And insane to me is paying full price for socks when you can go to Ross Dress for Less and get a 6-pack for $8, $6.
Is there a promo code you can use?
Don't need it, Jeff. That's the thing about Ross. They don't have promo codes. It's all everyone's in.
There's
You walk
no
in, it's promo code.
beautiful. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is radical honesty.
Hmm.
I feel like that's part of your ethos, just be radically honest about everything.
I mean, yeah, yes and no. I think in some ways people that say like I'm radically honest are just looking for their rudeness to be excusable.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be honest, but there's plenty of times where I'm just not for, you know, just kindness or it's like,
Right.
there's also a thing of like I can have 10 different opinions about something.
Mm-hmm.
Like what do you want? You want it super spicy? You want it kind of hot? You want like, and I mean all of them, so there's no point in being like sort of brash for the sake of like that's who I am. It's just like
Right.
it's I think it's an excuse for a lot of people, including me at times.
Yeah.
Although I don't think I ever said like I'm radically on. I don't think I've ever done that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do try to err on the side of honesty because I find that it's just a lot of it just slows things down, confuses people, misleads people, and it makes them waste time in a way. And you're gone. You're never going to see them again.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's it.
they remember a thing, and they're like that person's a great person. They lied.
Right.
So I try to just be honest. Whatever. It's certainly not consistent, but I try to
Yeah.
try to be humane.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Well, I really want to acknowledge you, Neal, for like I said earlier, I do feel like you're a pioneer in this work in comedy, and particularly in getting people to be more vulnerable and authentic and accessible, and really talk about like the things that are messing with them, in a way that we can all relate to. And I really appreciate, I when I was reflecting on this podcast and you and your career and what you've accomplished and achieved, it's like there's nothing really bad. There's nothing bad. It's all really good. You make people laugh and you've had like a good influence on people, and there's no dragons in your dungeon, so to speak. And I really want to acknowledge you for like the impact that you've made on me and everybody who's a big fan of yours. It's really something.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I do take it pretty seriously. I mean, the good news is I'm not charismatic enough to do shitty comedy well. So my jokes have to be good. The jokes have to be good or it's a bad show. I can't
Right.
just like, go up and energetically juggle for an hour.
Fake it.
So
Yeah. Nice. Beautiful. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
my pleasure, buddy.
Yeah, it's been great. If you want to support this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/lunacy podcast. Much love, everybody. We'll see you next time.